Welcome to another episode of Prison Stories. I give y'all my real life situations and experiences that happened to me when I was on the streets and I ended up going to prison. Now, I had just got through being convicted of all the charges that they charged me with, the things I did and the things that I didn't do as a result of not snitching on my blood brothers, who were the leaders at that time of the GDs in this particular state. Okay, and what happened was, again, my situation is kind of crazy because these were my real blood brothers who were running number one and number two. And it's like when it came to me, I was always trying to live up to the reputation of their name because we were brothers. I was younger, so they had already been putting in work. They was already established. We got the same fathers too. We don't have the same mother, but we have the same fathers. So they was already living there. I used to hear stories about them all the time, how much money they had, how big they were doing it, and things like that. So when my mother took sick and she fell into a coma as a result of suffering from a stroke and brain aneurysm, they came and got me at the age of 16 and took me down there to where they were. When I got there, it was like everything I had heard about them, you know. When they appeared, not appeared like angels, but when they came and I saw them for the first time after they've been gone for years, what happened was they had on all these mink coats and jewelry everywhere. And I'm like, wow, these my brothers, you know? So I was excited and happy to see them. Seeing that, you know, for the most part, when your mother's gone, your father not really there, and you young and can't really provide for yourself and things like that at that time, people take advantage of that, you know. And that's what happened to me. So they came and got me. They took me back down out of state where they were. And when we got there, it was just full of nothing but the mob everywhere. And they were the two leaders, you know. And I'm like, wow, it's like all the stories I've been hearing. And my brother, who was the number one head command, he began to he was grooming me on things, just telling me, you know, the do's and don'ts. And then getting me familiar with everybody when I got there. So immediately when I got there, it was like full of nothing but gangbangers. You know what I'm saying? Just nothing but straight gangbangers. Everybody trying to make a reputation. Everybody trying to just please my brothers now to show that they was worthy or to position themselves in better positions for favor, you know. And soon as I get there, The very next day, it's a gang fight. I'm new there. So I'm new to the town. So it's a gang fight. I don't know who is who for the most part. And I'm just going with the flow of the ones who I did know. And we just fighting. Like straight out real gang fight. Soon the second day I get there, we fighting and everything. So I began to make a name for myself because I'm really looked at because I'm their real brother. You know, again, we had the same fathers, but we didn't have the same mothers. And that's when I first, my first time ever in a gang fight. Now I have had other fights before that, but it wasn't dealing with gangs. It was just rather like fighting things like that. But this was a real gang fight. And we were fighting for blocks and blocks, just in the streets throwing them. And when it was over, we all bragging about what we did and who all we heard, and everybody trading war stories. And this is how it was. And this would happen often. So we would be like in continual gang fights for the territory, and just that's what it was. That's what it was. And then I began to make a name for myself. So I was known for fighting and known for shooting. And I wanted to live up to the reputation of my brothers. Because they was already established. They was already known. They was already respected. And they began to start grooming me. Because again, since you family, they always want to make sure we know what we talking about. And when you family, you get it the hardest. So that they won't look like they showing partiality. So I'm sitting here basically putting in all this work when other people sometimes will be getting paid for it. I'm basically doing it for free. I'm selling all this dope and ain't really getting a cut. I make my money by putting extra dollars on the dope. Like say for instance, we selling 20s. Well, I start selling them for 25. That's how I made my money. I make an extra $5 off the 20s. So instead of selling them for 20s, I sold them for 25. That's how I made my money because I wasn't getting paid off the work. And it was a lifestyle. Gangbanging was just a lifestyle, and that's what it was. And for the most part, the streets prey on the youth. And it so happened to be my brothers and them too at this time, you know. I mean, for the most part, that's what made the members of gangs young Black brothers who come from broken homes. For the most part, fathers ain't in your life, mothers on drugs or whores, you know, and you control them. And living in an area, you know, for the most part, that's where you from, that's where you known at, you want to belong, you want to be a part of something. So that's basically what it was. And we were selling all that dope, and we were willing to do whatever we were told. We didn't even second guess it. That's how much power that they had. If they told us, hey, go shoot such and such, that's what we went and did. We didn't even question it. It was just protocol. That's what it was. I look back at that now, I'd be like, that's crazy. I'm talking about, and we were willing to prove our loyalty by doing that, putting our whole life and freedom on the line. for what I come to find out now, being a man, that is just foolish. And it was all a lie. Because at the end of the day, it ain't no love. Sad thing about it is, again, these my real blood brothers. That's the leader of the gang in this state, in this particular state. So I end up catching these charges, and I was found guilty after turning 18. I was found guilty. I'm on my way to prison, and I'm just reminded of everything that I saw on all them prison movies. Like, man, they're gonna try to rape you. You're gonna have to fight for the rest of your life. You young, you know what I'm saying? You young, and you separated from your team and mob. You don't really know nobody. All these things are going through my head while I'm on that bus ride, shackled from head to toe on the way to prison. And I was with another one of the brothers who were from the same mob as me, and his name was Smoke. And Smoke was there before me. Remember, my brothers and them came and got me because my mother was in a coma. My brother came and got me and took me down there to where they was. Smoke was already down there with them as an acting member. And he had a position of rank within the mob. Now, what happened was, before I got there were two other guys who supposed to have been cousins named Greg and Hook. Keep in mind of those two names, Greg and Hook. And this is what I was told. Remember, this happened before I got there, but this is what I was told. I was told Greg and Hook was neutral guys. And neutral means they wasn't a part of no gang. They wasn't gangsters. They wasn't vice lords or people, which we also call brothers. And they were just neutral from what I was told. So apparently this what happened. Smoke ended up catching the case with the police. Then the police offered him a deal to give somebody up. He ended up giving them Hook and Greg, two cousins. Now, excuse me, when it comes to gangs, this was accepted within the gangs. If you got, and this is what a lot of people don't know, if you were in the gang, you were allowed to tell on somebody if they wasn't a part of your gang. If they wasn't a part of your gang, you was allowed to tell. If a person was neutral, like Greg and Hook was, they not a part of no gang, they was fair game. It's a difference when you're telling on your team, your gang. That's just how it was. I don't write the rules. This is just what was said. Like, you are allowed to give up somebody else as long as they're not a part of your organization. And because you may be a person in the organization who know a lot about the organization, rather you giving up one of your own, you can give up somebody else who's not your own. So when Smoke got caught, he gave up Hook and Greg. The thing about it was, Hook and Greg ended up going to prison for a long time. And now this bus ride, me and Smoke on, we going to the prisons where Hook and Greg is at. Because Smoke ended up catching another charge. And he was on the way to prison, just like me. But keep in mind, at this time, I don't know that history. But I'm noticing Smoke, for the most part, was starting to get real clingy towards me, like following me everywhere, staying close by my side, like, because remember, I'm the brother of the two guys who's the leader of the gang in this particular state, right? I'm the real blood brother. So Smoke trying to hang with me for protection type stuff. When we get to prison, we go into this place called RC, which is called receiving. In receiving, what happens is when you coming from the county to the prison, they have to do all these tests on you to make sure you clear to go into population if you don't have any contagious diseases or anything like that, any enemies, however. So you have to go through this process of somewhere between 30 to 60 day, 30 to 90 day process. Okay, well, you got to make sure all your blood work come back, all that. So they have you in this holding place. Now, when we arrive in prison, remember, it's when you get to prison, everybody already know who you are. One of the reasons why they already know who you are is because 9 times out of 10, well, 10 times out of 10, you already been fighting your case within the county some way or another. So you already known in the county jail. And those who in the county jail, some go to prison. So they already been sent before you. So they're aware of who you are when you get to prison, because they may have been in the county with you. Also, 9 times out of 10, you caught your case in the state, town, county, or city where you known that anyway. And in that state where you caught your case, your gang affiliations is already established in that state for the most part of what gang you in, you know. So if you got caught in this state, and this state got GDs and Blackstones in it, 9 times out of 10, when you go to prison, those prisons are controlled by GDs, Blackstones, Latin Kings. So your gang is there already. Now, you know from that within the gangs, within people who got arrested from your areas or however. That's how you already known in prison already. So even though, remember, I wasn't originally from that area. Remember, I came down there later. My brothers and them came and got me. And I was only there for like about 1 or 2 years. 1 to 2 years before I caught my case. 2 years before I caught my case. So when I get sentenced, I don't really know people like that. I just know the people that's a part of my gang. I don't really know people throughout that city like that wasn't a part of our gang. So when we arrive at receiving, it's already some brothers there. A couple of them who were from our gang, from the streets, you know. And I remember when I get there, and when we arrive, the prison is already on recreation. That means the inmates is out on the yard and things like that. But when we arrive and go into the units, the inmate that's on the yard and things, we go into our cells in our room. And I remember walking to the room that they assigned me to, and I was assigned to the top bunk. And I noticed when I walked in the room, it just had this real, like, fruity type, fresh smell to it at the same time. And it was like real spotless and clean and things like that. The crazy thing about it is it actually even had like a a pink rug, but I didn't really pay it no attention because remember, I'm 18 years old and I'm from the streets. I ain't too bright to some degree of recognizing a lot of things, especially at this time. So I put my stuff on the bed and then I go back out to mingle with some of the brothers I already know from our street. And, because they was there already, some of them. So I see a couple other brothers, and they like, what room you in? I'm like, oh, I'm in room 14. Yeah, I said, I'm in room 14. That's what it was, I remember. I said, I'm in room 14. And they're like, oh, you saw your Sally? I'm like, no, I ain't saw him. You know who he is? They're like, yeah, I know who he is. And then you want to know when you're in jail, you want to know if they cool or not and what they are. I'm like, is he folks? And they like, no, he ain't folks, but he a cool brother. He cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, no doubt. So they playing the game on me though, because they know I don't know, because they was already there before me. So we just chopping it up, kicking it, then the horn went off and it was time for us to line up for count. So all the inmates coming off the yard and we got to go to our rooms and, so I was already inside of the dorm. So not the dorm, because it's not a dorm. We actually had rooms. So I was already inside of the what's that called, man? I ain't gonna say it. What's that called? Whatever. The it's not a cell block neither. It's like it's like throughout the prison, you had cottages, like different cottages, like cottage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that house a lot of inmates in different cottages. So when the horn go off, we lined up. So I go to my cell and I line up. They like, stand for count. So I go to my cell and I'm standing at the door. Then this gay dude come in. And he tried to come in my room. I dipped on him. I said, hold on, partner, where you going? He like, excuse me? I'm like, where you going? He like, this my room? And my guys and them down at the end of the hall, like watching, because they knew, they knew, but I didn't know. So I looked down at them, they rolling. I'm talking about they rolling. They on their stomach. Like, I looked at them because they made me believe that this was a regular guy who was real cool or something, when all along they knew it was a homosexual. So I'm like, he like, this is my room, man. I'm like, and then he come in, I look down at them, they roll. I'm like, man, y'all some dirty dudes. I'm disgusted. I'm mad, right? So after the count was over, I go to the officer station. I'm like, who do I talk to get a transfer out of the room? And they like, why you need a transfer out of the room? You got an enemy here, or you having a problem? I'm like, no, I just don't want to be sealed up with a homosexual. They're like, it don't work like that. You can't get your room changed because you don't want to be in there with a homosexual. It's not a hotel. I'm like, well, I don't like being around that type of stuff, man. So could I have another room? They were like, no, you don't get another room like that. And don't do nothing to try to get another room when you go into the hole. I'm like, man, I don't want to be in that room, man. You know what I'm saying? They like, well, shouldn't have did your crime, shouldn't have came to prison. But, go back to your cell type stuff. I'm like, dang, man. My guys rolling. I'm like, man, why y'all setting me up like that, man? That's crazy, man. You know. So they asked me, like, um, did they move you? I'm like, no, they ain't moved me, man. I'm crazy, man. I gotta stay in here, man, for almost 30 to 90 days with this junk. They roll. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get up out of this room. Somehow I gotta get up out of this room. Then I noticed like Smoke come up to me. He like, hey, you talk to your brothers? I'm like, no, cause see, my thing is, I was mad at my brothers them to some degree, but as a man, I'm saying to myself like, they can't help me. I'm here, so I got to fend for myself. I can't call them out. That ain't gonna change nothing what's going on in here. So I'm just gonna do my time. So I'm like, I asked Lionel, I say, man, why Smoke acting funny? Because Lionel and them knew Smoke before me. And like I say, we all a part of the same gang on the street. So Lionel like, oh no. He don't really want to tell what's going on. But I don't know what's going on. I just didn't care. I just noticed that it was something different about Smoke. You know, um, I get I'm trying to see how this all line up in chronological order. I oh, so I get I call home, talk to my brother. I told him I arrived. And then my brother said to me, he said, hey, I need you to do something. I said, what? He said, you got to get to the board. I said, for what? He said, because Smoke did some stuff before you got down here in the prison he in. The guys he told on, they got ranked now. I'm like, I don't get it. What's going on? He like, look, before you came down here, Smoke set some guys up. Those guys was not a part of our mob. They wasn't a part of our mob. They wasn't folks. They were just neutrons. What happened was when he set them out, they went to prison and they became folks in prison. They've been there so long, now they got rank to the point where they heavy in position there. They calling it over the joints. You got to get to the board before they get to him, and you got to let the board know that these two guys was not a part of the mob before, not a part of the mob when Smoke set them out. So they can't use the mob to do anything to Smoke because Smoke always been a part of the mob. So they can't use the mob for something that had nothing to do with the mob pertaining to these two brothers who got rank in the prison now. So you need to get out there, get to the board, and you need to tell them that. I'm like, man, I'm gonna get to the board and tell them that. I say I'm in RC. I gotta be here for 30 to 90 days. I can't even get to the board. I say, but that's why Smoke acting funny. Because he know he in the prison where he set these dudes out. Crazy thing about it, I don't even know how the dudes look. I don't even know who they are. Let me show you how prison is, though. So the officers and them tell us like, go down this, because we knew that, hey, go down to such and such and go grab y'all medical supply things. So we go to the other cottage, not together, but they sending us out like one at a time for the most part to go get these supplies. While I'm walking down the place to go get the supplies, I'm on my way back. Yeah, I was on my way. No, I was on my way there. I was on my way there. Then I hear somebody call out to me like, hey, you. I turn around and I see this dude like coming up. And I'm like, damn, here it goes. Here you go, man. I'm finna have to fight. Dude come up, he like, hey, you T brother? And in my head, I'm like, dang. T, my brother who I'm talking to on the phone, who the leader of the mob in that particular state I was at. They're like, hey, you T brother? I'm like, dang. That's what I'm saying in my head. Dang, what he do? I said, but it's obvious he knows, so if it's on, it's just on. I'm like, yeah, I'm T brother, what's up? He like, you know who I am? I'm like, no, who is you? Guess who it was? It was Hook, one of the guys who smokes that up. I'm like, oh, yeah, what's going on, brother? He said, you heard about me? I say, no, I ain't heard about you. He said, what cottage you in? And I was in my room was number 14. I forgot what cottage I was, but my room number was 14. I don't know, I might have been in cottage 3, something like that. But I think I may have been in cottage 3. I was like, I'm in cottage 3. He said, I'm gonna bring you over there where I'm at. I said, no, I'm good. He like, you don't want to come over there where I'm at? I'm like, look, I just got here, man. So I just need to feel my way through. He like, you smoke weed, you do all this, He acting like, But then again, I saw a lot of prison movies. This is my first time in prison. I'm only 18. So I'm like, oh, this is when they try to butter you up, act like they cool with you, offer you stuff, and then you take it, and then now you owe them and things like that, and you're gonna have to be fighting. Here it is. Now here it all go. Just like the movies laid it out. Here you go. So he like, yeah, I'm gonna give you some weed, I'm gonna give you some cigarettes, I'm gonna give you a care package. But I'm not knowing this is protocol for the mob. If you're a part of the mob, they have to do this to everybody that's a member. They give you a care package, So I don't know that though. So I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. I say, no, I'm good. He like, no, no, no. I'm gonna send it to you. So you're on cottage 3, I'm gonna come check you out. Now, somebody told him that. Cause remember, I was new there. I wasn't there when he got set up by Smoke, so he don't know nothing about me. So somebody put him up on me like, hey, that's T brother. But they know my brother is like a stone cold killer, and he don't play no games. But they may have heard about me too from the work I was putting in before I went to prison too. So I don't know. But one thing they do know is where we coming from. And I'm like, dang, I just met Hook. I'm like, dang, this finna get crazy. So I go down to get my property. I'm coming back to the room to get I'm coming back to my cottage and room. And I saw Smoke. I'm like, guess who I just ran into? He like, who? I said, I saw Hook. I said, I didn't see Greg, but the guy who introduced himself to me, his name is Hook. I saw him. He said he told me his name was Hook. He asked me did I know about him and who I was. And Smoke like, did he mention me? I said, no, he ain't mentioned it. He probably don't even know you here like that. You get what I'm saying? And he like, oh, okay. And he started like playing it low, like, being in his room a lot, Then I hear the doors pop like later, and it's Hook coming on the cottage. Cause what they do in Illinois, at this time, they would let the gang leaders, and the gangs, people who got rank, they would let them basically patrol like the prison to keep their gangs in order. You know what I'm saying? From harming anybody or the officers, anything like that. This is at the time where a lot of inmates ran the prisons. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like right now where the officers are running now. So this is where the inmates ran the prisons at this time. So Hook coming on the cottage. And I'm looking like, dang, he could come over here like this. And I'm seeing the officers now giving him access to just roam. You know, then he see me. He like, hey, let me holler at you. He know the power my brother got. Because remember, he used to be a neutron. And I think he may have always wanted to be a part of the mob on the streets, but my brother wouldn't let him type stuff. However, so he asking me stuff. He ain't even bringing up smoke. He just asking me stuff about, you know, the neighborhood, what's going on out there, because not too long from now, he on his way home. So he basically trying to see if the coast is clear, will he be accepted and all this, you know. So he basically wanting me, for the most part, to reach out to my brother for him, you know. So when, my bad, my phone. So he asking me, hey, could you call your brother? You know, holler at him. I'm like, I can't call him no more. I use my phone call already, man. So I can't call him back. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He like, oh, okay. Let him know you hollered at me and things like that, you know. And then he gave me like a care package. And again, I'm new in prison, so I don't know nothing about this care package. And people were trying to take advantage of that. Because the thing about that is, again, everybody in the mob get this, whether they need it or not. That's just mandatory in protocol. I'm not knowing how to trade. I don't know none of that type of stuff. I don't smoke cigarettes or nothing, so I don't smoke weed. So people like, you gonna smoke those? I'm like, no, I don't smoke here. Giving them whole packs of cigarettes, giving them the weed. I'm just keeping a little snack and food and the hygiene stuff, but giving them the cigarette and weed. Not knowing that stuff is actually worth money in prison. I don't even know that though. They knowing it like, oh, you don't smoke? Let me get that weed then. You don't smoke weed? Plus, he looked out for me because he trying to get me to do a favor. So I got an extra pack of cigarettes and extra weed. I don't know none of that, right? So he still don't know nothing about smoke. Later on, the next day, no, it was the next day, I called my brother. I said, hey, I saw Hook. He like, you did? What you see him? I said, I was walking down to go get my property and stuff, and somehow he knew who I was. He like, yeah, they know. They know who you is by now. He said, what did he say to you? I said, he asking me about you. He want to talk to you. He like, I don't want to talk to that nigga. And I'm telling you, if they do anything to smoke, I'm going to kill that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, I'm in here with these people though, man. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And this dude got rank in the prison. We still in the holding. We ain't even got the population. We in the holding place. We going through the medical treatment part. We in that part, which means we somehow protected somewhat. This basically like protection somewhat, like a part of PC type stuff. Because we going through the process, you know. And Smoke didn't want to put himself on PC. I didn't know he could have did that. He could have said, like, yeah, I got enemies here. I'm gonna feel my life. But he didn't do that. So my brother, like, I don't want to talk to that nigga. You tell that nigga I said, I'm like, man, I'm not telling dude that, man. It's crazy. I'm in there with the, I don't even know how this stuff go yet. My brother, like, well, you tell him. Get to the board and let them know. The moment you get to population, get to the board, And the board, like I say, that's the board of the brother. Get to the board and let them know what's going on that they don't know. Because you got to protect Smoke. He one of ours. You know what I'm saying? That's your brother. Even though y'all in the all G's, Smoke is from your place. That's your set. I'm like, damn, man. And I go back and holler at Smoke. I'm like, man, what happened, man? You ratted on them dudes, man? He like, man, them niggas wasn't even a part of the mob. Them niggas were just regular niggas, man. Now they big in here, man. You know? I'm like, what you think they gonna do to you? Like, man, I don't know. But I gotta get out of this joint. If I could just keep it down and keep a low profile to some degree. I'm like, how you gonna keep a low profile in prison? And you on count. He like, well, this the holding place, this the receiving place. 9 out of 10, we not gonna stay here anyway. This is just a stopping place. We're gonna be transferred to some other prison. This ain't really where we going. I'm like, so actually we was in a maximum security prison. No, we was in medium max. We was in medium maximum security prison. You know, so he was like, I need to get to Taylorville to get to where Dole at. I say, who's Dole? He like, Dole is from our set. He run Taylorville. Like Hook and Greg them got rank in here. They got rank in here, but we need to know who calling it over the folks in here. But Hook and Greg, who got rank in here, Dole called it for the whole. No, it wasn't Dole. What was dude's name? It wasn't Dole. I forgot his name. Dang. Christopher Bradley. He was like, Chris called it for Taylorville. He got the whole joint for the folks. I'm like, and he one of ours from our set. He like, yeah. Once I get there, I'm good. I'm like, okay, man, I need to try to find out how to get to the board. So let me go around asking people. Some of the brothers who in here, some who've been here before us, maybe on the way out, who may have made connection, how I get to the board. Because I can't tell Hook I need to get to the board because he's going to be suspicious and no. Then Smoke like, but see the thing about Hook them, they scared of you because they know UT brother and they on the way out. And they know if they touch them streets and something happen to you that they dead. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, so that's why he being nice and friendly to me and stuff like that. He like, yeah, just play along with him and stuff. But I'm like, but you ratted on somebody, man. Like, I ain't trying to be, I ain't trying to be around you like that yet. And he trying to be around me like, you know what I'm saying? So we go to the, they call us for child. So it's time for us to go to child. So Smoke behind me while we going in the child line. We escorted by the officers. We make it to child. It's like the second day there. We make it to child. And we on the child line. You know, we on the child line with our trays. And, you know, we walking down the child line, slap mashed potato on my tray, go down there, get some peas on my tray, go down here, put some gravy on. You know, we on the child line, you know, getting our tray. Smoke beside me. Then the dude come out of the kitchen and recognize him. A big dude he like, oh, no, they didn't. Oh, no, they didn't. I know they ain't seen you down here. I know they ain't seen you down here. He just speaking. Like, keep in mind, it's a long line of all inmates. We on a child line. It's just a voice out, and everybody looking like, who you talking to? And then Smoke just looking like he ain't talking to him, like it's somebody else. Smoke know exactly who it is. I don't know who this is yet, because guess what? I ain't saw Greg. I saw Hook. Now come to find out, Greg worked the kitchen. He the other one. It's Greg. I don't know that though. But when we get to the line, while we going down the line, that's when I know, because remember, Smoke right next to me on the child line. Dude saw Smoke coming from out of the kitchen, recognized him, and he spoke right then and there like he was triggered by his presence. And as he talking, he walking up, you know, and people just looking around. Then he get to where he at. He like, oh, I know they ain't seen you down here, nigga. Oh, no, they didn't. I'm like, damn, that dude. But I'm playing it cool too. Because you gotta also keep in mind, they folks now. We all folks. You know what I'm saying? We all folks. So we all under the same mob. Even Greg and Hook now at the time. But remember, they wasn't folks at first. They were just neutrons. They became folks in jail. They've been there for a while, made connections, however it went, and now they have reputation and got rank. So as I'm beside Smoke, dude still jacking. And then the officer like, hey, quiet down, you know what I'm saying? And then another officer was at the end of the child line counting people off by the fours, because you sit 4 to a table. So he like, and it's actually 2 child lines going on. It's one side and it's another side. So and we meet up like in the middle, and the officer is in the middle counting them off like you, that seat. You, that seat. And I'm like stalling, like reasoning in my head, trying to distance myself from Smoke. So as I'm getting closer and closer to the officer and he counting people off, he get to 3. He get to 3 on the people, because I'm hesitating, like slowly pacing, right? While other people coming off the other side of the line, he like 1, 2, 3. And so when he get to 3, I spin off on his 4. I'm his 4. I spin off. He like 4, you. And and Smoke tried to spin off with me. He stopped Smoke. So I spin off on 4. Then he started a new table with Smoke. He like, you. There, that table. You. 1, 2, 3. With him. So Smoke distance away from me now. I don't care. I had to. I don't know. Look, he told on somebody. I don't know what the hell going on at this time. Hell. So I'm sitting there like eating my food, like, dang, that dude's big. Keep in mind, at this time, I'm 18 years old. I'm just ripped up like Bruce Lee. I ain't got weight on me now yet. I'm just ripped with my Bruce Lee body or my Bruce Lee Roy body. So I'm at the table like eating, like, dang, they know he here. Well, Greg know he here. It won't be long till he tell Hook. So we in the child, Smoke across from me, like on the other end, like, and I'm eating, and Smoke sitting there like, dang, I'm found out, man. Right while we eating, a bigger dude came from out of the kitchen area. He looked and spot where Smoke at. He walk over there with his prison whites on, because that's what they wore in the kitchen. If you worked in the kitchen, you wore whites, okay? He come walk over there by Smoke, and then he like bending over. I can't hear what he making out about him talking to him. Then out of nowhere, he just get the beating them down. Like, boom, 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 boom. I'm talking about mashed potatoes and peas and applesauce all on him. And he just wailing on Smoke like Greg sent some. Remember, he got rank. Once he recognized who Smoke was, he sent somebody to handle that business on him. And dude putting the dukes on him. I'm talking about beating them down. Which caused the commotion in the child room, that the gun, it's like I can't call it a gun tower, but it's like inside of the child, it's like a gun, I can't call it a tower though. It's like a gun shuttle thing inside of the child hall where we eating up top. You know what I'm saying? They like, Everybody on the ground right now. Because when it's a fight, a sudden, even if you ain't in the fight, you got to hit the floor or you're going to get shot. So while they fighting, they're like, everybody on the ground. We all got to drop on the ground while they fighting. And the person on top, like it's 3 officers on top with like assault rifles and shotguns, while other officers rushing in and pulling a big dude off of Smoke. Smoke get up, face all knotted, math, he looked like KFC, mashed potatoes hanging all off him and mixed with applesauce and blood. And he looking at me like, help me, brother. Please help me. Look, I'm sorry. I can't help you. He go away. I'm like, dang. I hope they don't think I'm with him. Right? I'm like, oh man, this crazy, this on, just like I saw it on the movies and stuff. I go back to the cell. We go back to the unit, I mean. So they make us finish our child. We go back to the cells room, the cottage where we was on. I get on the phone. I call my brother. I'm like, man, they got Smoke. Like, what you mean they got him? I said, they got him in the child hall. Like, what he did? I'm like, no, they beat him up pretty bad though, man. Did they stab him or anything? I'm like, no, they ain't got. They just put their hands on him, man. Like, how many of them was? I said, it was actually, he can be counted as like 3, 4 dudes, because this dude was humongous, man. Matter of fact, I said, Greg big too. He was like, Greg big now? I said, well, he didn't used to be big? He was like, no, he didn't used to be big. I said, oh, he big now. You know what I'm saying? He like, oh, damn. He like, but he all right. You saw him as he was leading the way. You saw him in good condition. I'm like, I ain't gonna say he was in good condition, but he walked away. You know, when the officers came and got him and stuff, he walked. He like, man, damn, man, you couldn't make it. I say, no, I'm still in RC. He like, you got to get to the board, man. They're gonna try to kill that brother, man. You got to get to the board, man. You got to talk to the board. I'm like, dang, man, I can't say nothing. No, I'm like, man, why I'm in the middle of this stuff, man? I just gonna look at, you know what I'm saying? So, I gotta get to the board. I gotta get to the board.